things that are happening in this community. And I've been here for 7 years now, 7 years this week, actually. And one of the things I noticed is that there's a lot of activity here, and a lot of them are marching in the same direction. One of the things was, I don't know if you ever heard of the steering committee that was formed to talk about everyone thinks of it as the Adams Street extension that's supposed to come through here. But it was bigger than that, and it was really about connecting the community together, and quite a bit of focus on walkability. And walkability has become a big term to be used everywhere in every community right now. So, and of course, Victor Hiking Trails and I'm part of the board, so I'm talking about the people that were there before me. They did something, whether they knew it or not. It's sort of like the glaciers that came through and didn't know they were going to create the Finger Lakes, you know? They created something that is exactly what every community would like to have. They built a network of trails that can be connected, can serve as not just recreation, but as transportation. And it's a way for people to connect themselves. Because if you've ever been on especially the rail trails, there's a lot of traffic there. People are riding their bikes. But it's also a way of getting somewhere too. So there's a lot of focus in this country regarding walkability, about non-drivable routes of traffic. In other words, getting someplace without your car. And one of our goals is to have a trail within a mile of every house in Victor. And then there's another committee that's called Reimagine Victor, and it's about the village. And in the village, the main focus of that is a connection between the trails and the village, and using the trails as a viable economic resource, and making the village a place where everybody wants to go to. Like, we have a line that says, I want somebody to wake up on a Saturday morning in Penfield saying, I wonder what's going on in Victor today, let's head down there. Let's go for a hike, let's go shopping, let's go to lunch, those kind of things, okay? So last February, we wrote a grant to AARP to do a walk audit. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is our first walk audit. So I'm going to ask your patience as we go through some of the things that we're doing here. It shouldn't take that long, but it takes as long as we need. This isn't a hike, this is an evaluation. And the thing is that the results of this will become an important part of recommendations to the town and village. So open your minds, think in terms of not just yourself, but think in terms of other people, other needs. If you're not a bike rider, try to take a look like a bike rider. If you're not pushing a stroller, imagine pushing a stroller, imagine being in a wheelchair, imagine being blind or hearing impaired, and try to look through different eyes and see things, because you're here, you will have an extraordinary amount of say in the recommendations. And I will collect all your recommendations at the end. Okay? Any questions so far? Okay? I'm going to go through my instructions that I wrote out. Damn it, everyone's going to listen to them.
Or you'll fail.
Yeah, right. Okay, so here's our first walk audit. I want to introduce our people from Victor Hiking Trails. Why don't we introduce ourselves? I'm Scott Reinhardt. I'm on the board. I'm called the Trail Master, which I never tell people I'm a trail master because it makes me sound like I'm from the deep south and I used to live on a plantation. But I'm the Trail Master.
Chauncey Young, Trail Boss.
Dave?
Oh, I'm Dave Wright. I'm the chairman of Victor Hiking Trails, and you'll see me later.
I'm Jeff Hennick, Vice Chair, Map Master, Webmaster.
Master.
Another master.
Right.
I'm Lee Lodge, worker bee.
But here to help as a leader too.
Yes.
Okay. So our objective for this project is to assess the walkability of an area bordered by Maple, School Street, Main Street, and the Auburn Trail. So you getting that visual in your head? It's maybe like a square half mile, maybe a little more. It's not a large area, but it's important if you wanted people to come here to walk. We're looking for as many observations and feedback from people as varying needs and abilities as possible. Age ranges, abilities, runners, walkers, bikers, wheelchairs, strollers, sight and hearing impaired. see those things, see everything through different eyes if you can, but especially your own eyes. So the compiled reports will go to the town and village, and we're part of a, like as I mentioned, many initiatives that are happening now that hopefully all be pulled together with with data. And again, this is our first one. We're learning. This isn't a hike, but your input is critical. We will walk a set area in a segment of that total area. We're not doing that whole area I just named. We're gonna go down this street here, take a right on Main, go to Maple, cross over. We're gonna cross Maple and then go to the other side of Main, walk back over here, and cross over again and come through and come back here. That's it. But there's a lot of business in there. There's a lot of sidewalk. There's a lot of crossings. There's a lot of traffic, and you have to look at it in a different way. And so when we do this walk, we're going to stop whenever you want to stop. First of all, we're going to stop whenever you're writing, and we'll go through the forms you have. There's 3 sheets with both sides on there. You don't have to use all of them, but use the ones that are appropriate. If you don't understand something, please ask. I didn't know some of the terminology on there. Like we were just talking before you got here. You know what a parklet is?
What?
You know what a parklet is now, right?
What?
A parklet. Because it asks, are there parklets? And I'm like, okay, I better look that one up. And believe it or not, we've all seen them. Have you ever driven through a town where instead of a parking spot, like you'll have a building, you'll have a sidewalk, and then instead of a parking spot, they've kind of put some cement planters with trees or flowers, and then there might be tables or a bench or chairs in there? That's a parklet. So I'm guessing it's like a baby park, So, and it changes when you think about how that looks and how it changes the aspect of inviting walkability. And think along those terms too. What would invite walkability?
Yeah. If we just check the boxes and then take notes down here.
We're going to go through the forms.
Okay, all right.
Okay. We'll stop frequently to observe, to fill out the forms, to ask questions. I don't know how long it's going to take. I guess 60 to 90 minutes, including the time we're spending here, which is most of it actually. We will be taking photos and videos. Dave will be taking it because it's part of our grant that we have to submit a lot of photos. Let me see what else.
Here they have green space such as pocket parks. Are those different than parklets?
I would guess like that's a pocket park right there.
Okay.
The number one priority is safety. So when you're filling out your forms, you got to ask everyone to stop. We stay together. You don't cross the street on your own. We stay together as a group. Okay? We don't want anybody getting hurt or falling down because they're staring at their sheets while they're walking. So you have to, when you're riding, you have to stop, and we'll all wait for you. Okay? Yes, Nancy?
I was waving at Tim, but
Oh.
I was going to say, so I can't stand in the middle of the crosswalk to see if the cars stop?
Yeah, right.
Well,
We're standing in the
actually,
middle of a
we want to evaluate whether there's enough time to cross the street.
Exactly.
So we all have shirts, clipboards, pens, and forms, and everybody has the forms. I already gave them all. So let's take a look at the forms. And let's see if I have it. Thank you. I'm looking at Build a Better Block. So what this is you're checking off things that are there. And there are also things that you could, I'm sorry, that's not
No,
correct.
that's not correct.
This is about making suggestions to improve for building a better block.
What do you mean by raised crosswalks?
Raised crosswalks are so when someone is sight impaired, they can feel that they're in the crosswalk. Just like you ever been on one of those ramps that lead down to a road, there's the bumps. That's for sight impaired people, so that when they're walking down, they know they're coming to a street.
I've never seen this.
I don't think I've ever seen it
Oh,
anywhere.
You've never seen the bumps?
The raised, no,
Oh, the raised crosswalks. Yeah.
And they also raise the crosswalk so it's a traffic hump.
And that's an
I've
island.
seen that.
That's a traffic island.
Yeah,
and
well,
that's for a
no,
wider road.
I'm saying they use it for crosswalks also.
And that's something we
Raised
look at.
crosswalk.
It's like we look at
Raised
Main
speed
Street.
bumps?
Do we need an island in the middle? There's also something in there about double lanes, getting rid of a turning lane because it slows traffic down. I mean, there's lots of different things in there that are listed as suggestions, and also as does it have those things? Yeah. So like if you were coming down Maple heading this way, and you hit, I'm sorry, you're coming down Main Street and you hit Maple, you know, that turning lane that goes left there, that would disappear and the traffic would just be one lane, which would give people a better chance of crossing the road so they wouldn't have two cars coming on that side.
But then it would hold big traffic if
Right.
you hit somebody to the
Exactly.
left. So-
Exactly. So before you say
Yeah.
this is what I want, you think of, is it needed? I mean, really honestly, in some of the things I looked at regarding this, we're talking, some of the roads were 4-lane roads that the people are trying to get across. We don't have that here, except on the corner there. So, so looking over Build a Better Block, is there anything on there that you have a question about? Like art in the crosswalk, where people paint things on the crosswalk for just a visual appeal.
What are pedestrian bulb outs? At intersection or crossing?
That's what I just talked about. That's a bulb out. When,
Okay.
when the sidewalk goes out into the lane, you eliminate the lane. Yep.
And that's what a pedestrian island is?
Pedestrian island's in the middle of the street, and so you ever cross the street and you stop in the middle,
Yeah, right.
and then before you go on, those are for extra wide streets where people don't have enough time to get across.
So many I don't know what they are.
Well, some of that is based on how much time you have to cross the street. So one of the things we have to do at the crossing area, we have to time how long it takes. Like, well, how much time do they give for people to walk across? Is it adequate? So any questions about Build a Better Block?
Oh, that's correct. I keep asking questions. I'll just go with it because I'm just not familiar, I think, with what's on.
Well,
Is this for things that need improvement?
these are things that, if you could have these, you think this would be necessary or what you'd want to see?
The decorative and/or directional wayfinding signage that just tells you.
That's signs in
What's
the
going on?
village that would say, like, would be a decorative sign that says parking. Decorative signs
Oh, okay.
for this way to the Auburn Trail, those kind of things. I mean, is there obvious signs for parking in the village? And so when you get there, when we walk there, then you're gonna look for them. The make a map part is just for your use if you wanna make a note about something special as we're doing the walk audit. And you feel like you can't explain it
In
as
case
well
the
with
wait to walk
language,
across
then
is
just
too long.
draw it
There's
out
one right here.
and
Oh,
put
is it?
down
Does
descriptive
it
language.
work?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. It's in the park or whatever you call it. Public restrooms.
And then the sheet that says sidewalks, make sure you fill out the top part too.
Litter removal. That's garbage cans. Many places don't have them. Public garbage.
Sidewalk, streets, and crossings, is that the next one you're doing?
Sidewalks, just plain sidewalks.
Nice, got it. Yep.
Okay. Next paper we're going to.
It makes you look at things that maybe you haven't thought of at all.
Oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
like is the sidewalk separate from the street by a barrier or buffer, in curb, grass, or landscaping? So
Is there a sidewalk?
you might never have thought about it until you've been on it. Has everyone walked in the village before?
Yeah, we have yeah. A little bit, yeah.
Okay, then street safety and appeal. It's interesting, it's got safety and appeal together in the same sheet. Like, are there shade trees in the village?
You don't have that.
You have to look for them, don't you? Yeah,
I don't know, we're gonna
I
have
don't-
to walk around and see what we
Yeah,
see.
exactly.
Which one are we?
I don't see shade trees on mine.
Which one are we on?
It's the second one, under street
Sidewalks and street
safety and
crossings?
appeal. Street safety and appeal.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh.
these are
I'm sorry, I thought I had
there's-
two
These are
that I
two-sided
don't-
sheets, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
And then sidewalks, streets, and crossings. So in filling out the top part, like the community name is Victor, we could say the Village of Victor, and our starting location is Mead Square parking lot or library parking. It's mostly so I can understand it when I do the report. And our ending location is the same place. And you can fill that out now, or you can fill it out when we get back here. And of course, today is the 22nd of August. And posted speed limits, only if you see them as you go along. I don't know what to put with that, because it'll probably change as we go down different streets. And there might not be posted speed limits.
This is 27.
I like the question, do the motorists appear to be obeying the speed limits?
Is that us or that?
How about, do the motorists stop at red lights?
I don't know.
Right. It's going to get you thinking about things you haven't thought about.
Too much on here.
Yep. And some of it you're going to find is very redundant. You're going to find things repeated and repeated. And to give it, what that does is it makes sure that they're not missing anything. Like if you don't catch it on one form, you'll catch it on another. Streets and crossing.
Our start time is,
Put 3 o'clock. It doesn't matter. We're just, actually that helps when I do the report to show that because we're going to do
Oh,
this again
yeah, excellent.
at different times of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, that's
We'll
right,
give
yeah.
different observations.
I have to
So just
find
put
out
3
a couple
o'clock.
things.
location, street names.
We're going to be doing, what's the name of the street, Dave?
It's Mead Lane.
Mead
MEAD.
Lane to Maple.
Well, we're gonna go
Sorry,
Mead
Main
Lane
Street.
to Maine, Maine to Maple, back to school, back to
Right.
Mead Lane.
So we're going to cross the street at Maple.
The little map that was at the top of the meetup shows
Oh,
each
yeah, but-
location,
yeah.
Yeah.
the where we're gonna be working. Tried to make it so you knew where we were going.
Yeah, it's that kind of sort of.
So, are you feeling like you want to get going, or you guys
I think
feel
so,
ready?
yeah. Well, if we're doing going together, if you have any questions.
Yep.
just
I
ask.
mean, we want to stop whenever anybody says I have a question. We all stop.
So we should be starting on the sidewalk, streets, and crossings, or we just go through them together
You know,
as we
I
go?
don't know the answer to that because this is the first time we're doing it. So you're going to advise me when we get back here which one you should start with. Okay?
I'm feeling like we need to walk and stop and try it out.
Actually, that's a good point. I think do it more than once because, especially the first time, because we don't know. Yeah. And then note taking, yeah.
You want to do that?
Yeah, 'cause that way we
So you just want to walk through the loop first,
look at it, yeah.
and then come back, and then you'll do it again. This time,
Taking notes. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So just so you know, there will be like 5 sessions from now, there'll be another group on a different day at a different time doing the same thing.
Maybe it's for our own general
Right.
knowledge.
I think it's for
on how to
us
do
having
it.
any sense
Yeah.
of what
Right.
we're doing.
Well, it's
yeah.
not a
Exactly.
long walk. So
Or maybe we won't. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we
I
don't
don't know,
need to.
yeah.
I don't know.
Whatever the group feels comfortable with.
I think that's the
We
sense
should
of
do
the
that.
road.
Just check it. We can reevaluate it when we see what we need to do.
We just did this, we don't recommend that anybody else do it.
don't say that. We got 9
No,
more to
no,
go.
I don't mean that. I like the
Are
idea
the other ones the
of
same
just
route or
walk
is
it
it
once
different routes?
and then
They're,
think
they're different routes because there's
No. There's one more back here.
yeah, and then there's the other ones.
So we want to do a walk around, and if you want to stop and make a note, people will just say, okay, and we're going to
Well,
stop.
but if we walk around, then we know we're coming back. If we do a walk around
Yeah.
first.
Well, you know what? When we come back here, anybody else wants to go around again, I will take them around.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do
If we
that.
don't, if we don't feel we can take notes or whatever,
Right,
just kind of
right.
play it by ear then. It makes
So
sense.
we will begin right at that stop sign. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we going that one? We're going to that stop sign.
takes you down. or the
Well, we'll
top.
come back that way. When we come back, we'll just go all the way back down to Adams and then back to the stop sign.
We've got a
So-
bunch of bees.
And we should walk on the other side of the street then.
Whatever way you want.
So,
Okay.
Both sides.
You're gonna do both sides
So
eventually.
we're gonna walk to the stop sign and we're gonna take it right here. But
This is Mead Square Park, located on the south side of Main Street, between Maple Avenue and School Street.
I already told him I bought bigger pants.
Not a black top?
Typical traffic on Main Street around noon on a Tuesday. Typical signage on Main Street. Getting ready to cross Main Street. Note the small sign on the building for public parking. One of only a few benches on Main Street. This is a typical crosswalk between intersections. Standard pedestrian crosswalk signage. Intersection of Main Street and School Street. Traffic island on the south side of Main Street at School Street. Several vision-impaired mats missing or worn. This concluded our first walk for the audit.